The Against All Odds podcast, sponsored by Oak Forest Recovery.
Welcome to the Against All Odds podcast. I am your host, Rachel. We have co-host RJ, and we have Brittany Jade in the building today.
Hi.
I'm so happy you're here.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, I'm so excited to hear your story because I was just telling her before, I don't think I've ever heard it in full.
Yeah.
I started following you on TikTok in 2020 when you first started making content and stuff, and now here we are.
When did you start? What year?
I started in 2022.
Okay.
Yeah.
Quarantine.
I think a lot of it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I feel like there were so many creators that were born out of COVID.
Right.
Like tons.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's start at the beginning of your story because I'm excited. Where do you come from?
Yeah, where are you from?
So I'm from Eau Claire, Wisconsin. I was born and raised there 22 years. It's like a big drinking state, that whole state. I started drinking at 13, so pretty young. My dad was an alcoholic. He is sober now, but he was an alcoholic. So I had the Natty's Ice, the fridge full of Natty's Ice. And I think it was a lot with the kids I was hanging out with. We'd sneak out, go to the cornfields, typical millennial things. Yes.
Like country roads, right?
Yeah. And we'd never licenses. So we would ride our bikes out these country roads with our backpacks full. And we had the water bottles full with Kahlua and whatever we could find
mixed
from
liquor.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I started, and I pretty much was blacking out very young too in that age. And I remember the first time my mom saw me come home drunk, and she just said, she was like, I knew it, Brittany. I saw it in your eyes. I knew you had what your dad had, which alcoholism. And so it was a problem from a very early age. I was really into sports like gymnastics, basketball when I was younger. And then once I started drinking and then all of a sudden I switched to party girl. I got the violations in school and couldn't even do sports anymore. And, pretty much I struggled in high school. My parents let me move out when I was 17 with a boyfriend. Yes.
They're living the dream at that age.
Yeah. So my senior year, I had my own place, which of course was a party place and party house. And was
that easy for you to get done? Were your parents cool with that just right off the rip? Or did you have to put in some work?
My parents knew that no matter what, I was always going to do whatever I want.
So they were just there's no point.
Yeah. So, and my dad actually ended up getting sober when I was, I think, 15. So.
And he's been sober since.
Yes, he's been sober ever since. It's crazy though. We have different stories of how we got sober. He's never worked a program. He quit cold turkey. So I remember him saying Brittany, I just don't understand why you have to go through all this detox treatment,
just
program meetings.
Just stop.
He just stopped. Yeah.
Isn't that wild that people can do that? Whenever I see people, because I've seen the cases of people doing that, and I'm like, how?
Yeah.
The fuck?
But I will say I have this dream of bringing my dad to his first meeting because I think it would really help him a lot. But that's his journey.
Yeah.
Okay. So after high school, as a kid, my whole dream, when people said, what do you want to do when you grow up? I either wanted to be an Olympic gymnast or I wanted to move to Jamaica and just live on the beach. That
sounds great to me.
Yeah. Right.
Wow.
I know, that was my dream.
It's my current dream.
Why not?
Yeah. Same.
I feel like I'm almost living that dream with where I live now.
Yeah.
I live on this crystal clear lagoon. It reminds me, I'm like, this is the closest I was going to get to that for sure. Because obviously now having a family, it wasn't the smart decision, moving my family to Jamaica. But, and I did decide, my parents were like, Brittany, you just got to do something. So I'm like, okay, cosmetology school. So I moved to Minneapolis, Minnesota when I was 18. And that's when I started experimenting with more drugs. In high school, I always smoked weed. Our friend group was called the Puffers. They always were like, don't invite the Puffers because they're going to be smoking weed in my parents' bathroom type of deal. And so I moved to Minneapolis and my boyfriend and I broke up, the one that I was in a serious relationship with, and that devastated me. I thought it was my first love, type of deal. And he broke up with me, and I ended up getting evicted from my apartment because I had a party, and one of the guys in the middle of the night, I was sleeping. We lived in like an apartment complex, and he had woke up and got crazy, grabbed the fire extinguisher, like smashed all these windows to the apartment building.
My God.
Yeah. And since he was my guest, I didn't even know his name either.
Yeah.
Like he just came to our apartment party.
And this is in Minneapolis?
Yes.
Okay. This is after you move. Okay. Got it.
Yeah. So I get evicted from that place, and I end up moving into like a drug house pretty much. And, like the downstairs, I was 3 stories. The downstairs people, they all did coke. The upstairs people were meth. And that's when I started experimenting more with that. And I kind of knew, like, once I'm just such like an upper girl. Like I love energy drinks, and that's always been my thing. And so I started doing coke and experimenting with acid. And I remember I had to take a couple leave of absences from cosmetology school. I went to school one day on acid. I remember foiling this lady's hair, and I was just sobbing. Like it was a wild experience. And my instructors were like, Brittany, like you can't be here like this. And so I did graduate cosmetology school, but I was the last in my class. And, that's actually when I had, from the video we made, the Pass the Phone, the tutu incident.
Oh yeah, let's get into that.
Yes. So
What's
it was
the
just
tutu incident?
Yeah.
You're about to find out.
Yeah. So one night we had gone out, we came back to our house, and I'm like, I've never gotten to a fist fight with anyone. It's just not my thing. But when I would drink, I would turn into a totally different person, like a monster. I ended up just getting blackout drunk. I guess I had punched holes like through our wall. So I got evicted from that place too. But, and I got arrested and woke up. I don't even know where. I don't know if it was at the house or if we had gone out again, but I woke up in jail in full restraints, like on a table, wrists in restraints, spit mask over my head, no memory of anything of how I got there. And I was still wearing like this leotard with a tutu that I was wearing the night before. So I get out. That's when my parents were like, Brittany, you need to go to treatment.
They picked you up from jail?
No, I think I had to take it because my parents live back in Wisconsin.
Oh, okay. I was just imagining you like coming out of jail and you got your tutu on and you're just
Yeah. And I end up going to treatment in Wisconsin for the first time, but it was more like treatment centers are all different kinds. This one was more of like a hospital setting, and it felt like...
How old are you, like 18, 19?
Yeah, I'm 19.
Okay.
Yep. So the first time I went to treatment, I was 19, went twice when I was 19 because it didn't work out at that place. And I decided that I had a problem with meeting men in treatment. Like I'm sure a lot of us. Yeah. So I was never, I didn't like experiments. At this point I hadn't done heroin ever, but of course I met a heroin addict in there, and just bad news. It got even worse. And I ended up actually, like my dream too was also to go to California and see the Hollywood sign. And so I bought a one-way ticket when I was 19, and I'm like, I'm going to go out to California and get sober on my own, thinking I could do that. Yeah. So I bought this ticket and ended up staying in hostels. Like I didn't have a lot of money just got,
how interesting.
I know, my poor mom, she was so worried.
And this is after you got out of the first rehab experience.
Yes. Yep. So it didn't work out there.
Wait, and this is with the boyfriend?
No.
Okay.
He was married. He ended up being married, and yeah.
Wait. So did you come to LA, or where did you come in California?
So actually, I flew into San Francisco. And took a bus down to Santa Cruz. So that's where I was staying in the hostels,
like college town.
Yes.
There's like young people everywhere. Okay.
But I wasn't hanging out with the young people. I was hanging out with these old men that were just like hooking it up with money and a place to stay and drugs and alcohol.
How did you end up out there? Like, how did that all piece together?
I had a friend who had an aunt out here. And so she's we can stay at my aunt's house. So I was with another girl who was actually a year younger than me. So I was 18, she was 19. And I mean, it was just, and then we had met this other girl who was like an escort, and she was trying to get us into that. And I'm like, I don't think I feel comfortable with that. I mean, like if I'm messed up enough, I could probably do that. But it was just very sad. You know, the things we do for drugs, alcohol, money, a place to stay.
Yeah. And this perceived idea of freedom, right?
Yeah.
Asking for help was one of the greatest choices I've made to overcome my addiction.
If you or a loved one that you know is struggling with addiction, don't hesitate. You can reach out to any of us at any time to find help.
And I end up overdosing on cocaine. I didn't know you could OD on cocaine, but it was terrible. Like, we had met some people at Goss hotel room for my birthday, actually. I think it was my 20th birthday now. And like, he just dumped out this bag on a table at the hotel. I mean, it was heaping too. I've never seen so much in my life. And we did that and ended up getting super, super sick, and basically I was not getting sober like I was supposed to. So I had ran out of money. My mom's like, come back to Wisconsin, Brittany. So I did. I went back to Wisconsin. I can't tell you how many times my parents have saved me just with going back there. And when I got back, they had an intervention. They had some of my friends there, and they were like, you clearly can't do this on your own. So we found a place for you in Palm Springs, which they knew I'd be more open to going somewhere again if it was in California. So I literally was only back in Wisconsin for one day, and the next day I got a ticket.
Immediate turnaround.
Yep. And I went to Michael's house in Palm Springs. Have you ever heard of it? Yeah. Loved it. Had a great experience. But my insurance ran up after like 2 weeks. And I remember just being devastated, because maybe even after a week.
That's happened to me multiple times.
Yes. And I'm like, you guys know I'm not ready to leave yet. I'm like, I knew there was a liquor store down the street. I had said, and I'm not 21, but the flight to Palm Springs, I remember buying out the Scope at the airport store, the Scope mouthwash, and drinking as much as I could, before I went in there. Right. And like, it was really, when I checked into treatment, they're like, have you had anything to drink today? I'm like, mouthwash, like 6 bottles. They were just little mini ones.
Little travel ones. Yeah.
Wow. And after that treatment center, they ended up giving me a scholarship for a couple more weeks. So I was able to get a little bit more time. And then I found a sober living in San Diego. Okay. So I went there and lived there for a little bit. And that's where I met my husband, which is so crazy. We were 19. Wow. And, you're not supposed to date in sober living. Yeah. So I got kicked out of that one, went to a different sober living in La Jolla.
For you guys dating, that's why you got kicked out?
Okay. Yeah. And then he was sneaking over.
Was it a co-ed sober living?
It was, but they were different houses.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I think that's kind of how yours is. Yeah. And then I went to a new one. I got kicked out of that one because we were sneaking him over. So now we're both like homeless and not sober. Once we were both out of sober living, we were doing pretty good up until and now we have nowhere to stay. And so we started drinking again. My thing was always alcohol. Like, that was my main thing. But the 2 prior times in treatment, I made sure to tell them my only problem was cocaine, because I didn't want to accept that I could never drink again.
Anymore. Yeah. Right.
And then
that's such a common
thing,
right? I feel like almost every alcoholic or drug addict has to go through that phase.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Where like your first time going to treatment, your first time getting sober, and they're like, you can't do anything anymore.
Yeah.
And you're just like, wait, what?
And you're like, cool, but actually, no, I can. Yeah. I know that I actually can.
It's just heroin.
Yeah.
Heroin's the problem.
I can drink.
Right.
I can do psychedelics. I can do all of the other things. That's how I was for a really long time.
Yeah. You did psychedelics too?
Oh, I did. I did every kind of route that I could to get, because I thought opiates was like my main. I was like, that's my only issue. Yeah. I can drink. I tried a festival phase where I was like a hippie and I was like a wook, and I was just doing really weird shit, and there was a lot of acid and all types of different
I want to
things.
see that version of Rachel.
Oh, I have pictures and evidence of it. I'm talking about like pashminas. Like I was really, I love Third eye pine cones and shit. Like I was really trying to find a way to use successfully. And alcohol was I was very delusional around that for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's got to go through that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so you guys started drinking.
Yeah, and we ended up renting a room in some random person's house, a couple of them actually, but we just kept getting kicked out of places. Like we were
for
just
drinking?
a mess. Yeah. And yeah, pretty much just causing issues because I didn't have a job. He was trying to get his life together. He had got a job at a hotel, and finally the last place, like I had started drinking vodka again. That was really, whenever I started drinking vodka, I know I don't have much longer, and it goes downhill so fast. And I ended up in a blackout, taking a bunch of pills. So I got taken away in an ambulance, woke up in a hospital. I can't tell you how many times woke up after a blackout in a hospital, in jail. And once again, my mom's like, it's time to come back to Wisconsin. And I'm like, oh, like at this point, I'm like, how many times does this happen? Everywhere I go, I just have to come back to my parents when I just wanted to get away and be on my own. And so we broke up because like he's born and raised from California, Southern California. And we broke up. I went back, and a couple days after I got back, he called me and he's like, can I move to Wisconsin? I still want to be with you. But we need to be sober. And so I didn't even ask my parents. I was like, yes, just come. I was living with my parents too. Once again, my parents knew, you know, Brittany's going to do whatever she wants to do. So and he came out to Wisconsin. We lived there for 5 years together. We got married. We're on and off with sobriety. We tried to manage it, you know, like we all do. We tried to manage it for a little bit. And shortly after we got married, though, we decided we wanted to try to have a baby, and we're completely sober at this point. I didn't like identify as an alcoholic. I wasn't working a program, but we just didn't drink. And so I was sober like 6 months before I got pregnant. We started a family. So now at this point, we got married at 22.
Wow.
And then we had our daughter. We were 23, and everything was so good. Like we were sober. We didn't drink. And since he was from Southern California, his parents actually were like, hey, we're going to buy this house. We'll rent it out to you guys if you want to move back here.
Oh,
and
great.
so it was amazing. Yeah. I was in Oceanside, like a couple miles from the beach, and we moved out here and started our life, and it was really good.
Sounds like a dream.
Yes. No,
right?
It couldn't, like we got to pick stuff out from the house. Like we thought that was going to be our forever house. So
yeah, this girl from Wisconsin comes out here, California, meets the guy, is having the baby, gets a house,
start a family.
It's like idyllic.
And I even remember like when we moved in, a couple of our neighbors bringing over wine. They're like, oh, hope you guys drink. And we're like, no, we don't actually. And it was good. Like 3 years. Like I think about that time and I'm like, wow, those were probably the happiest years of our life. Just no alcohol, destroying anything. And just starting a family. Life was good. And then we got pregnant with twins. And after that, after we had them, I think it was just the stress of postpartum. And, you know, my husband's mom had died. My mother-in-law died from cancer when I was pregnant with the twins, really suddenly. Like she was diagnosed with cancer. And then 3 months later, she died. And she was like the healthiest person, ate all organic. Like it was just crazy that this would happen to her. And so that had a lot to do with it too, for my husband and his struggles. And I started drinking almost like right after they were born, you know, I remember calling my friend who had been in the program and like telling her, you know what, like I am not an alcoholic. Like I think normal. I was just young. I think I can do this. She's like, okay, Brittany. And, you know, we did do it for a little bit. For the first year, we it got out of control real fast, but we tried to manage it, you know, only drinking on the weekends, 2-drink rule. And we were doing okay for a little bit until we weren't. You know, he started hiding alcohol. I started hiding alcohol. He was
from each other?
Yeah.
At the same time?
Yes, at the same time. Like I had my vodka bottles in the closet. He had his whiskey bottles in the garage. And I will say, like, he's struggled with addiction. His thing was like opiates, pills, weed. My thing was always alcohol. And so he could have one glass of whiskey and be good, but he was hiding the alcohol from me too.
Oh, so that you wouldn't drink it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And
asking for help was one of the greatest choices I've made to overcome my addiction.
If you or a loved one that you know is struggling with addiction, don't hesitate. You can reach out to any of us at any time to find help.
Yeah. So it, like mine, I was hiding it from him because I didn't want him to know that I was drinking all this.
Right.
And, so by the time we're like 28, 29, just the alcohol had completely ruined our marriage. We hated each other. We weren't happy at all. And we didn't realize how much alcohol has played a part in this at the time. You know, I thought he was controlling because he wouldn't let me go do anything because he knew if I went out, like something crazy would happen to me because I always blacked out. And, we end up, I told him that I was thinking about wanting a divorce and separating. He was very religious, and so he didn't really believe in that. He wanted to make things work. I didn't grow up religious, didn't have a relationship with the higher power or God or anything up and, at that point. And we end up going and filing together to do mediation. And pretty much we had said like, hey, let's try this out. And I won't bring up, he has stuff from his past too. That's his story to tell, but I won't bring up his vices. He's not going to bring up mine in this mediation. That was agreed. And then I was like, I'm going to try to get sober, quit drinking. My mom flew out to California, helped me get my own condo on my own, which I didn't I was a stay-at-home mom. So I wasn't really working. I did hair and photography on the side, but I knew I was going to have to start doing more now being on my own. And I had this place for a month and I was going to meetings. My mom was even out there. My mom didn't know that I had been going to meetings and coming home and had been drinking, which is crazy because my mom could always tell. But for some reason during this time, she didn't. She thought I was doing good and getting my life together. And but it got, after she left, I think just like the freedom of having this whole place to myself now. And like, it was weird. Like I couldn't stay sober on my own, living by myself. And
the kids were going back and forth.
Yep. They were going back and forth and they're young at this point. Like our daughter was 5 and our twins were 2. So, but I was starting to get blacked out when I would have them, even on my time. Like I'd wake up, my house would be destroyed. Like all my makeup in the toilet because these little 2-year-olds had full reign.
2-year-olds just like ripping through the house.
Yes. Yeah. And like once again, I'd be like, I'd ask my daughter, did mommy fall asleep last night? And she wasn't like fully aware at that time yet, but she also knew something was weird. Mommy was always sleeping, like passed out. We had one time, actually, I don't think I've ever really told this story, but I had ordered a pizza for us for lunch. And after I ordered it, I had passed out. So the pizza delivery driver came to the house. Our door was wide open because we had like a fence and the kids were all in the front yard playing. And
and they're 2 and 5.
Yes. And, I woke up because I was on the couch. I woke up to her in my house and she was like yelling at me and she's like, "Are you intoxicated?" And like, I woke up, when you wake up after crazy.
You're like, no.
And it's like noon too. And I was like, no. And she's like, "You're drunk, aren't you?" She's like, "Your kids are out front." Like she ended up calling the police on me. But I ended up, because the boys, the twins, they still took naps at that time. So we took a nap together. So then we woke up. At this point, and they didn't come right away. They came like an hour or 2 after.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
And so when the police came, we came to the front door and they're like, "Hey, we got a report saying that, the kids were unattended and that you might be intoxicated." And I just like played it off to them. I was like, "No, like we're all sick. We were just napping." And they believed me, which I was so shocked about. They believed me. They're like, yeah, we figured it was just a tired mom. And, you know, they just left. And I was like, wow, I got away with that. It's crazy how many things we get away with.
Yeah,
like
we're good at doing
back.
that.
Yeah.
We're good at doing that.
But a couple times, one of my best friends, you know, she found me 8 a.m. blacked out one morning. And actually, my husband had ended up, he went and filed an ex parte and filed for sole legal custody. I didn't know it though. I had got like a little letter under my door saying you had to show up to court the next morning. And I didn't know what it was for because it didn't say much in it.
Yeah.
And he had obviously got his own attorney at this point. And so I'd called an attorney and I went and talked to her and she was like, hey, as long as you're actually sober, and because I had been going to meetings, getting like even signed off at this point, because that's what we had agreed in mediation, that I would like keep track of stuff, wasn't sober, but it looked like it on paper that I was, you know?
And in court, that's all that really matters.
Yeah. And the attorney was like,
a drug test.
Yeah. She was like, as long as you're sober, you have nothing to worry about. And I was like, okay. I literally, when I went into the meeting, I think this attorney could smell alcohol on me because I had been drinking. I think she didn't want to represent me and she kind of played it off as that. And so I went home that night and I was like drinking still, practicing what I was going to say to judge in court the next morning. And I end up waking up the next morning late. I was supposed to be at the courthouse at 8 a.m. I woke up at 8. I lived a half hour away. I didn't even get ready. I threw on something, ran to the courthouse, ran in. I made it there. But like my husband was there with his attorney.
Probably 9 to like 9.
Yes.
Right.
And I run in there looking like a mess. I've got like a can of LaCroix in my hand too, running into court, still not sure exactly why I'm there. And I didn't even show them proof of I didn't come prepared at all. Didn't even show them meetings. And before I knew it, she was like, the judge was like, okay, granted. And I was like, Your Honor, I just want to make sure that we're going back to our original co-parenting schedule, 50-50. And she was like, yes to what was granted. Still didn't know. They hand me this paper. I walk out of the courtroom and I call my mom and I'm like, Mom, I did it. Like everything's fine. And as I'm walking out of there, I see on the paper, it says supervised and unsupervised visits. And I was like, what? And, so I get back home and I realize I look it over. I had called another attorney, called my mom, and sure enough, like he had filed, and I still didn't know this at this time, but he had filed.
Did you try to like contact him when you got that or at all, or were you guys like not?
No, we were not on good terms. Okay. So we weren't really talking too much at that point. And I realized that I had just lost like all custody. And that day I pretty much tried to drink myself to death. Cause like, how do you like deal with that, you know? But I think the smart thing, if you lose custody because of your kids, because of alcoholism, you know, that's like a normal person would go get help. But the first thing I did when I got out of there was I went to the store and bought a bottle. Yeah. And I truly feel like I wanted to die that day. Actually, I'm in a blackout. I had wrote goodbye letters to
the kids and everybody.
Oh my gosh, I knew I was going to cry with this, and I didn't even remember writing them, but my friend said she found them. And she was like, that's when I knew, Brittany, that this had gotten out of control. Cause she was on my side this whole time. She thought my husband was controlling. She thought he was a bad person. Cause that's what I portrayed him to be to her. Right. And, but thankfully she had recorded a video of me that night too, which I've posted a little bit, but basically I was, slurring my words but I had said, I'm willing to do whatever I can do to get my kids back. And she said, that means rehab. And I said, yeah. And so I had one more night of drinking all night. And the next day I decided I was going to go to treatment. She had taken me to a place in San Diego. It was like an all women's one. And they said, no, we can't take her. She's too sick and she needs to go to the hospital.
Because of how much you've been drinking.
Oh, listen to what her number was.
Yeah. So we go to the ER and I'm waiting in the room. They draw my blood and I'm like a mess too. You know that song like Gator Boots? Apparently in the middle of the waiting room at that ER, it was a big hospital too. I stand up because they had me in a wheelchair, like fall risk bracelets on because I was a mess. I stood up in the middle of the ER singing that song. And like, that was like one memory. My friend was like, yeah, we were all laughing at you. And once again, it's like noon, you know, I've been on a couple day bender at this point though. And,
asking for help was one of the greatest choices I've made to overcome my addiction.
If you or a loved one that you know is struggling with addiction, don't hesitate. You can reach out to any of us at any time to find help.
I end up getting a call from a different place. It was Choices in Vista, a different treatment center that told my friend, hey, we'll take her as is. Just bring her here now. Because we had been at the hospital for a couple hours. They were busy. And as I leave there, the hospital calls. They're like, where did you go? And I'm like, oh, I got into another place. I'm going to rehab right now.
They found out what your blood alcohol was?
Yeah. So they told me, they're like, okay, good. You're going into a treatment center. They're like, because you should be dead right now. Your blood alcohol is a 0.457.
Wow.
And I'm like, my mom explains it like, because I was on the phone with her. She's back in Wisconsin. She explained it as like, I would like go in and out of consciousness. And so sometimes I'd be really with it. And the next time I'd be just completely out. So I remember this all now at this point going into this detox because I had to go and empty my bank account. I had like $1,850. Well, this detox said they would take me, but it was going to be $1,800 cash.
Wow.
So I emptied my bank account. And the bank teller at Wells Fargo, she was like, are you sure you want to do this? This is literally all your money. I was like, yeah, I'm going to rehab right now. She's like, okay. And yeah, I make it there. And I need to go back and visit that treatment center, that detox. They were just amazing to me. They said they were shocked when they heard how high my blood alcohol was because I was still with it. I was walking and
singing.
Yeah, just living my best life. And I remember my friend, I'm like, we got to stop. One more drink. Okay. So I got 2 more tall cans that I walked into this detox center into. And like, they're like, okay, we got to take those. And I remember they had thrown them in the bathroom. And I had tried to go searching for him again, thinking they just left like a can at a rehab in there. Of course, they took him out right away and hit him. But, and yeah.
How old are you at this point?
28, at this point,
29?
I'm 29.
Okay.
And I'm
Kids are 5 and 2.
Yes. Okay. Now 5 and maybe, I think my boys were 3 now.
Okay.
Yep. And I meet another heroin addict in that detox. But I finished my 2 weeks there. That's what I had paid for. I had state insurance, so it was very limited of where I could go. But I didn't have any more money left. So when I got out of detox, my husband, who still wanted our marriage to work at this point, was like, you can come back and live with us. And I was like, okay, I know that's not best for me. I hate him right now. I want nothing to do with him, but I want to be around my kids. Right. And so I did. I went back to the house. We lived together, but, I was still seeing this like heroin addict guy, and he had been clean for a little bit at this point, but he was on suboxone. Well, he was like, hey, you want to try this? We were going to meetings together. And I'm like, oh yeah, I can do suboxone. I never had a problem with opiates. Like, let me try some of that. And at first it started with just a little sliver.
Yeah, suboxone will get you real fucked
up. Oh yeah. Yes.
Especially if you have zero tolerance.
Oh my God.
And before I knew it, I was up to like a full pill. And like Wiley said, we went to go pick up our kids from daycare because I was like, we had to put our kids, I wasn't working, but we had to put our kids in daycare because I just wasn't stable enough to be handling them. Right. And, we picked him up one day and he was like, you were full on nodding out in the car. And he's like, that's when I knew it was something else that you were doing. This was not alcohol. Like, he's like, this is not my wife. And, He ended up filing a restraining order on me.
Oh, wow. And what for? Were you just getting angry? Or
so I had relapsed on alcohol in Mexico. I went to shoot a wedding because I was doing photography, and oh my gosh, I had like 50 days sober from alcohol, but mind you, I'm still doing suboxone. So I'm not really sober. And because for me, I didn't need that. I wasn't using it for like Matt, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you were using it to get high.
Yes. Yeah. And I went to Mexico. Anyway, I made it through the wedding, thankfully, but the night after that, like the whole wedding party, all of a sudden they see I was getting like, it was like midnight, and they see me, they're like, is that Brittany? Is that the photographer? Because they had found me like 2 resorts down in Mexico, and they wheeled me back in a wheelchair. I just was such a mess. And so, and I had told him about that because at this point I had been doing a breathalyzers on my own. I wasn't court ordered. I think they wanted me to get the scram bracelet, but I said, hey, I bought this other breathalyzer. Can I do this instead? And they said, yeah, you know, since you've already taken this initiative, we'll let you do that. And I had a sponsor this time too, but I tried to hide it still. Like I was telling my mom, my sponsor, I was still sober, wasn't honest. And I got home and I tried to get sober again. And I was on day 4 and I'm like, you know what? I just had 1 weekend of drinking. I'm not going to go through bad withdrawals. I'll be fine. Right. I end up going into full on psychosis day 4. And I remember waking up that morning.
Because you stopped drinking, just cold turkey, and it just threw you into this.
Yep. Wow. Yep. And I ended up waking. I remember that morning, like I woke up and I was like, wow, I feel so good. Because you do, when you're in psychosis, you don't realize it. Yeah. And it was really crazy because I've always said to my husband, I said, like, hey, if I'm going to believe in the same God you are, I need like this magical moment. And we really thought I was having this magical moment because it was like a religious psychosis.
I have I've heard so many stories of people going into psychosis and it's always like a God-centered thing. Like you can hear God, or God is telling you to do this, this, and this. Okay, I need to hear what yours was like.
And yeah, so these voices, they seem so real. Like it's so crazy too. But I had these voices telling me to open up the Bible, and they were telling me these numbers like 26, 18, 19, 20, 26, 19, 18, 20. So I'm like going through the Bible, trying to figure out like what it is. And I'm reading these verses, and Wiley said, my husband, even before that, he's like, you were reciting Bible verses, Brittany. And I had never even opened a Bible at that point. And he was like, you were reciting these Bible verses like crazy and memorizing them, saying them. And the voices, it was almost 24 hours. So at first they started coming from my laptop. Like I would have my head down like on the laptop, and I'd be like, do you hear that? Do you hear that? And it was just like music at first though. It started with music. I could hear music out of things. And my husband was like, no, I don't hear anything. And I was like, okay, you know, still, I'm not concerned because it seems so real.
So wait, is this during the restraining order? You had
not yet. Sorry, I jumped the gun with the restraining order.
Okay,
this was kind of like,
so this is before.
Okay,
so this is like the week leading up to it. So this is the very beginning of 2020. Okay, this is January 2020.
So right before COVID.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm hearing these voices, and I hear them coming from the blow dryer. Like I go blow dry my hair, and I heard this like Christian song blaring, and I was singing it to my husband. We looked it up. Sure enough, I'd never heard the song before. I was telling him the lyrics. We look it up, and he's like, oh, it's a Christian song. What? He's like, I've never heard of this song before, but I was singing it from what I could hear.
That's insane.
It was the craziest thing ever. And then the voices started coming in. That's where it got a little bit more scary. I was in my room on my bed, you know, hearing these voices telling me to look through the Bible. And it was almost like they were trying to get me to something. And I thought this was my moment that I was going to be saved by God. And so my husband said, he's like, he honestly believed too, because he's very religious. He thought this was actual God talking to me. He's like, I'm just going to let you be, because there wasn't anything super concerning yet. Like it was happy things, like, but then I remember being on my bed and I felt something full on crawling behind me on the bed. Ugh. Like I felt the bed, and then I like felt something touch my shoulder full on. Oh, no. And that's when I freaked out. And I told my husband, I said, hey, something's wrong here. And because they were telling me too, the voices, they told me to go to the window and like put my arms up, and the sky looked crazy that day. It was one of the days where there was like clouds and the sun would like come through.
Yeah, you can see like the beams. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And now at this point, like they told me to put my arms up, and I'm like, okay, this is God saving me, but I'm not even kidding you. I felt my entire body being lifted like off the ground. And that's when I like freaked out and put my arms down, but they tell me, no, it's okay. Like, this is your last chance. This is your last chance. That's what they kept saying.
Asking for help was one of the greatest choices I've made to overcome my addiction.
If you or a loved one that you know is struggling with addiction, don't hesitate. You can reach out to any of us at any time to find help.
The voices. And so I put them back up, and then I freaked out. And that's when I called my husband and I said, hey, something's wrong. Like, and that's when he knew too. He's like, this is not God. This is something else that's happening. And I'm not even kidding you. The moment that I decided it wasn't God, then this like huge like whirlwind came in our room, and my husband's like holding me tight. And obviously this didn't actually happen, but in my head, it was like almost this tornado, like wrapping around us. And we ran outside because I was so scared of being in the house. Like I could see things moving. It was almost like an acid trip too. Yeah. And I go outside in the front yard, and I was like, babe, do you hear that? I heard all of our neighbors like chanting these numbers in the street. I was like, do you hear that now? Like, and it sounded so real to me. He's like, Brittany, there's no one out here. Yeah. And I'm like, and thankfully in that moment, something clicked, and I was like, you need to take me to the hospital right now because I might be going DTs. Through. Yes. Yeah. And for a second I was like, I think I'm dying, because I was like panic attack too. And yeah, sure enough, he takes me to the ER, and they're like, oh, day 4 alcohol withdrawals. Like, and obviously the suboxone, and I think I don't remember what else. I was on some other prescriptions and stuff. Yeah. And yeah, so they sent me home, Valium. That's, helped me with the withdrawals. But then I ended up, getting hooked on this Valium and was finding it. And it didn't take long after that until we actually got into a fight. And we both called 911 on each other. They came out, the police, they said, hey, in these situations, we have to take one of you to jail. One of you has to come with us. And mind you, I am completely sober at this point, but I'm on Valium for my alcohol withdrawals. And the officers straight up said to Wiley, they said, hey, we think she's on heroin and meth. And at this point, like, I had not been using any of that. Right. So I don't know if it was from mix of the psychosis and maybe a manic episode, but yeah, they took me to jail. I spent the night, and the next day, that's when I came home and I found out he had a restraining order on me because of the incident that had happened the night before and our fighting. And so then I was homeless. Like, I had nowhere to go. Called the heroin addict guy. He was like, oh, don't worry, like, we'll figure it out together. At this point, he was full on using again. And like, I just chose the wrong person to, go and get help with. And so for a couple weeks, thankfully it was only a couple weeks, we went out on this bender, and
you're doing heroin at this point?
I'm doing heroin and meth, like, all day, every day. I'm not even drinking anymore. Like, my thing was always alcohol, but I'm not even drinking because I found this other thing to numb me because of the restraining order. I couldn't even see or call my kids, couldn't even talk to them on the phone, missed my daughter's 7th birthday. It was so hard.
How long did you go without talking to them?
It was 28 days fully. Yeah. So once again, I actually OD'd, and
on heroin this time?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They found me in my car, foaming at the mouth. The guy that I was with, I was foaming at the mouth. He didn't know what to do. And I just woke up in the hospital again next morning, and I knew I had 2 options. Like, I could either go to Mexico, go over the border. I was so close, and just like disappear, or I could get on a plane and go back to Wisconsin once again. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've done this, and now I'm a 30-year-old mom of 3. But I'm so glad I decided I was going to go back to Wisconsin again. My parents were going to help me, but not until I had one more night one more night out there. And that was the first night actually that because I was, oh my gosh, you guys want to know something funny? So I was snorting. I wasn't huge into smoking or IVs, but I was snorting and I was doing heroin. What's it called?
Boofing it. Oh, were you?
Yes.
Shut the fuck up. So were you snorting meth?
Was it tar?
Heroin?
Yes.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
See, it was your own speedball.
Yeah.
Just from both sides.
It worked and it made me feel like it wasn't so bad too doing it that way. I don't know why.
You're like, it's medicinal.
Yes.
It's like suppository, you know?
Would you wrap it in something?
No, like we'd cut the top off the syringe.
And then
like the needle part.
Plug it up there.
And then just fucking got it.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. Very simple.
Yeah.
Very simple way to get it done. And oh my gosh, during this time, like it was bad news. I was hanging out with bad people. We'd go try to pick up a bag and like I remember being in this trailer park and the guys there, I was like, this looks like a rough crowd. Sure enough, they were part of a gang. I don't know if I told you the gang, so I probably shouldn't even say it. It's one of the worst gangs possible. And like I remember them even being like, wait, who are you? I'm like, I'm Brittany. Like, you're a mom, you have 3 kids. They're like, what are you doing here? Like, why? Like they even knew it was a very, why are you here?
Drugs.
Drugs. And like they had even talked about how they just like got back from doing a job and like the job that they were doing was like killing people. Like that's how serious it was. And just hanging out with terrible, terrible crowds. And we ended up we were smuggling over. I had the car still at this point. And so I was like helping him. He was like smuggling full on bags up inside him too. One of them popped. So that was really scary.
Yeah.
He ended up just getting through it though. We didn't take him to the hospital, but it was bad. And I remember just trying to numb myself. Like I didn't want to feel the pain of being away from my kids. Like it was so hard. And I have one picture of myself during that time because actually my husband had called and because he would try to check in. Technically we weren't supposed to talk to each other because of the restraining order, but he was like, take a picture of yourself. I need to see it. And I've shared that picture on social media, but I sent it to him. I took it really quickly. I sent it to him and he said he went and told his boss like that day after he saw it. He was, oh my gosh, I'm going to cry. I cry every time I say this, but he went and told his boss, he was like, hey, I'm going to need to take some time off work soon because my wife is going to die. And he truly thought like I was that far gone and I wasn't coming back. And so my last night I was in San Diego about to catch a flight and I decided I wanted to try IV. And thankfully I think the guy even knew like he was scared to do it to me because I couldn't do it. He did it for me. And thankfully nothing, like, I don't know if he missed it, couldn't find it because I remember being like, I don't think this is working. And, yeah, thankfully, because that also could have been like, that could have killed me, you know, and just to think that was February 2020. My sobriety date is February 9th, 2020. So I went back to Wisconsin, got sober. And in the next 2 weeks of being there, I knew I had to get my shit together. I went to the doctor. I found an attorney. I was calling around, but I had a domestic violence restraining order on me because the guy that I was with had told me that he wanted to hire someone to kill Wiley, to kill my husband. Oh my God. And I told Wiley this, like, out of concern for him, like straight up.
The heroin, dude.
Yes. Which, by the way, he's been in prison for the last 5 years. He actually just got out. He got picked up a month after I got sober. He stayed out on the streets. He went to prison for 5 years. So it's crazy. I just celebrated my 5 years sober, but to think if I would have just stayed out there another week, I would have been right there with him.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously that's kind of jumping the gun now, but I was calling attorneys, you know, trying to get quotes, and like they had told me because of what type of restraining order it is that it could be 3 to 5 years before I saw my kids again. And because how serious it was. And I remember just like telling my mom, and mind you, I'm sober now. I'm like a week sober, detoxing at my parents. And remember telling my mom, like, I cannot do this. I cannot wait 3 to 5 years. She's like, well, people do it in the military all the time because we didn't know. And
she's just trying to make you feel better.
Yeah. About the situation. Yeah. And it was really hard to have any hope because we knew how bad things had gotten at that point. Like, I had been arrested and all the things. And thankfully, though, we had a court date coming up after 28 days. And when we showed up to the court date, I ended up getting an attorney. I had been doing every other day drug tests. I had been doing the breathalyzers. I had been going to meetings, getting signed off, and I really was sober. I went to a psychiatrist. I had the psychiatrist write a letter. I had like friends and family members write like character witness papers on me.
Asking for help was one of the greatest choices I've made to overcome my addiction.
If you or a loved one that you know is struggling with addiction, don't hesitate. You can reach out to any of us at any time to find help.
And so I showed up to court and they were like so impressed. Like, we've never seen someone like do this right away. And they gave me legal custody back, like right then and there, which I was so shocked about.
And when was this? How sober had you been at this point?
I've been like 30 days sober. 30 days.
So now we're going into like March.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's February, maybe not even. I was like 3 weeks sober because this was February 28th. Okay. The court was. And I remember I was so happy after that. I left the courthouse, got to go to my daughter's school and see her. And like, she was shocked to see me because my husband didn't know what to tell her. Right. And like when she would say, is mommy coming back? He didn't want to like give her false hope. So he said, I don't know. And I had found a little paper actually, which I use it as a bookmark in my big book still to this day. But I found it in her little desk and it was a picture of us and she had wrote it during that time. And all it says is, and she's 6 at this point. It says, I love my mommy, but my mommy's gone. And so I like keep that as a bookmark every time just to remember like that feeling, because I never want to make her feel like that again. I never want to feel like that again. And then I'm trying to think. And I still was doing the breathalyzers because I knew like it was very hard for people to trust me. I had so many failed attempts at sobriety but I really was doing it and, I was doing really good. Obviously I've stayed sober since then now. It took me a couple months to get physical custody back too. We went back to 50-50, but when I got custody back, I didn't even have a home. Didn't have a home, but we didn't tell them that. And so I get legal custody back and I'm like, and my mom's like, Brittany, like we didn't want to tell them obviously. So my mom left her whole life in Wisconsin. She left her job. She left my dad. She left her whole family and decided she was just going to stay here in California and help me get a place and get back on my feet. And so that's when we lived in the trailer park.
Yeah, shout out to
yes.
Mom. No joke.
Yeah. I know my mom is literally such an angel and I am just so grateful for all she's done for me. And then obviously I went to go get my 30 days. I was so excited to get my 30 days and that's when everything shut down. Right. So, I got sober on Zoom, living in this trailer park with my mom.
Time to get sober.
Yeah, I know, right?
I was just thinking about the timeline. I'm like, February 8th, 9th. I mean, what was it? Like March 20th or something?
Yeah.
I feel like that's when the world shut down.
Yeah. Yep. And obviously here in California, they were really strict about everything. And I feel like a lot of people too, when I hear them talk about that time, like a lot of people went back out during that time because
a lot of people with time, like
a lot of people. Yeah.
I mean, I knew
people didn't know how to,
because we're stuck inside.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And I, at this point I didn't want to reconcile my marriage. Like it had been so much hurt, like going behind each other's backs and, we'd just broken the trust so much. And we both agreed, that we were going to for sure go through with this divorce. And we ended up going no contact. I was a few months sober at this point, and we had to speak through the court messaging system. Like, we were very toxic.
Talking parents.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's when I started TikTok. And so when I started my TikTok, I was talking shit about him, like left or right. Like, that's what my content was talking shit about the father of my children. Like, being, I realized it really quickly. I was so hurt at that time though. Like, that's how I chose to heal.
But that was your outlet.
Yeah.
That was I did the same thing with John and baby daddy content when he was out running these streets.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, good. See,
and now I look at it and I'm like, damn, bitch. Okay.
Right?
It wasn't. And then my rationalization around it was like, I wasn't singling him out. I was talking about like all deadbeat baby daddies at that time. And there was this community that I really needed in that time, because I was by myself and he was fucking running amok, and I think that at that time it was just like the best that I could deal with it. Doesn't mean it's right.
Yeah.
Yes. And then you look back at it from like a point and you're like, oh, okay.
But that content, it worked.
Yeah. Yeah. It like definitely, a lot of people resonated with it.
Which, there's something to be said about that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. And at the time, like, there was just a lot of behaviors still like both of our families were fighting each other too. It's just not a good environment. And obviously, and I blew up on TikTok. So I made my first TikTok in April of 2020, and by the end of 2020 December, I had 1 million followers. Like, it was crazy how fast it happened for me. And so now I have this I got a job offer at a treatment center making 6 figures. Like, what? I literally just went from nothing, being homeless at the beginning of the year to having this whole life. And I think a lot of it was a lot for me. I didn't know how to handle it all too. And I was trying to just go with the flow. But looking back, there was a lot of things I did that I wish I could do different. And obviously talking poorly about the father of my children is one of those things.
Yeah.
And we actually ended up a year after it was coming up on my 1 year sober. We decided we need to get along for the sake of the kids. And we ended up taking a trip for his birthday, and like a co-parenting, like we were going to nail this co-parenting journey. We're going to start talking again and getting along. Oh no, it was like almost instantly when we hung out again, we're like, oh my gosh. And like, I remember we both crying, like, what have we done? Because we just realized, like, we remembered why we fell in love in the first place when we were 19. And I was like, oh my gosh, now I've told the whole internet how horrible you are. Like, our families hate each other. What are we going to do? But we decided we were going to get back together.
Branded you to the world.
Yeah. And at this point, we had spent $100,000 in attorneys.
I remember because I had met you during
that
long after this. And I remember that was like the whole thing. Was like, we spent $100,000 on this divorce.
Yeah, $100K divorce. That was like my niche at that time. Like, I should have just got shirts made with it. But we were on like Fox News, did a story on it. We did some talk show on it too. And so then we canceled it like right before it was finalized. Wow. And we got back together. And
what did your family think? Like, what did both the families, because they were fighting with each other, right? So like, how did that all
oh my gosh, I recorded my mom telling my mom, and it was so funny, her reaction. I had posted on TikTok, but she just started laughing. She looked at us and she like ha, 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 with her face like she's like, oh my gosh, like she was like, okay, you guys need to do a lot of work on each other. It's going to take a lot of therapy. You guys need to learn how to be friends again, because we had really not liked each other for a while. And but my mom, once again, she knew Brittany was going to do whatever I was going to do. And I mean, our family is now, thankfully, being 5 years later, we've, made amends, and we're all good now with each other. And we'll never be as close as we were used to, but we're in a good place. They weren't so accepting at first. Actually, the house that my father-in-law had bought for us that we were renting, we couldn't move back into. He was like, that's one boundary I'm setting. He was like, I'm not going to let this house is not yours anymore. And honestly, we had so many bad memories in that house towards the end. Like, and we both agreed that was not it wasn't best for us to go back there anyways. And so, yeah, we got our own place together. And obviously now this starts like my sobriety journey and just that whole, so much has happened in 5 years, like everything I couldn't even imagine my life. And it happened pretty quick, but yeah, I'm just so grateful because I think of how much, do you ever think like how many times you guys should have died?
Oh yeah. Big time. Or been in jail or, you know, multiple different consequences that.
Have you guys got a DUI before?
No.
A DUI?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a DUI.
Your story's crazy. I remember you telling me like when I came out to ORC-04s and just like, what?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I got a DUI when I was 18.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 18.
I escaped I got pulled over so many times when I was for nodding out and like being like swerving over on the road. But I don't know
just lucked
how.
out.
Asking for help was one of the greatest choices I've made to overcome my addiction.
If you or a loved one that you know is struggling with addiction, don't hesitate. You can reach out to any of us at any time to find help.
I like had the mom and I would wear scrubs because I was a dental assistant. So I was like, I'm just like a tired, like you said, like you play like that victim card almost, like you're very good at manipulating people. And I wasn't drinking alcohol.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
I wasn't drinking alcohol. So, but there was many times where they made me do all the tests and stuff, but opiates are a lot harder to track, but still so fucking dangerous. Like the fact that I used to drive like that every day is disgusting to me.
Do you guys remember I used to have to drive like this when I was drunk.
Yes.
That's the only way I would
do one hand and I would get super down low and I felt like if I had my eye vision right with like the top dashboard
yeah there was an exact way
just hit it. You know what I mean?
And I still hit those orange cones though, like still, oh my gosh.
But when I got pulled over when I got a DUI, I was doing that. I was doing the, and it was like 4 a.m, I think, and I had been driving a friend home from a party, and
it's always that,
dude.
It's always that.
I was supposed to sleep at the house.
Yeah.
And he was like, he got all embarrassed because he drank too much.
Yeah.
Right? He was like, please take me home, please. And I'm like, fuck. I'm like, okay, because I was always the designated drunk driver. And so we're going, and he pukes down the whole side of my truck.
Oh no.
And we're on the freeway, right? Windows down, puke swirling the whole I mean, dude, it was like disgusting. I drop him off. It's like 4 a.m, so now I'm gonna drive with my girlfriends. I'm getting onto this freeway off ramp onto another freeway, and it's the 101 to the 23, and from 2 different sides it joins and makes the freeway. And so I'm getting on and I'm doing the lean, you know what I mean? This window's down, puke down the whole side of my truck, and I'm getting on and there's a car getting on at the same time next to me. I look over. And
it's a cop.
Oh my god!
And we look at each other, and he's just looking at me, dude. And I panic, right? And I'm like, and what's the first thing you do? Like when you panic, for me, when I panic like that, my foot comes off the gas.
Oh yeah, you slow down,
dude. And I'm not looking at the speedometer.
I'm
just looking at the little line. You know what I mean? Like I'm just looking at the line. And apparently, I slow down to like 15, 18 miles an hour on the freeway.
Oh, God, yeah.
And it's 4 a.m. There's no one else on the road. Like, it's empty. You know what I mean? So I have no idea. Like, he slows down. He's behind me now. And I remember a car goes by me.
Fast.
Like 65 miles an hour, 70.
Gosh, yeah.
And I'm like, holy fuck, dude. I thought they were going like 140. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, thank you, God. I remember being like so grateful. Like, that dude's fucked. You know what I mean?
Right? Like, they're going to get him.
And the cop never goes. Right? And I'm like, what? And I got off the freeway, turns his lights on. Yeah, that was...
And immediately you're
terrible,
like,
man.
And you found out you were actually going too slow.
And when he came and he was like, you've been drinking? And I'm like, no, I smoked a blunt. I'm really high. I'm sorry. I was blackout.
Oh my God.
I mean, I was like, there was open bottles. There was, I mean.
Yeah, he's like, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
He's like, get out of the car.
Yeah. No, I got really lucky. I had many, like, like with the cops, like, pulling me out, searching my car, and then they just were like, we couldn't find it. We have to let you go and whatever. Like,
because
the fact that
if
I
you're
never
doing
got
drugs, the breathalyzer obviously doesn't pick that up.
Yeah. But I mean, there were I
didn't get any DUIs either, which is wild.
Insane.
But
yeah, there's a lot of times now where I look back and I'm like, God was really really protecting me from a lot.
Yep.
You know, like I lucked out on a lot.
Yeah, it really is a miracle.
Yeah.
That all of us are here.
When did you establish a relationship with God? Like, was it through your psychosis thing? Like during this stuff? Because you said you weren't religious and you didn't really.
Still today, I still cannot figure out the meaning behind it. I would love to like learn more about it. Like there has to be more to it. It wasn't that actually scared me.
Yeah.
That really scared me. But it was obviously when I started working a program and working the steps, that is kind of.
When did you start working a program in the steps? Was it like pretty immediate? Or
I was first introduced to the program when I was 19, so a long time ago. But when I got sober this last time, yes. And like, that's all I was doing was going to meetings. I was so good because I was serious this time. Like, I just knew it. That's why when I hear people like struggling, it's like, you know, you just got to keep trying because one of these days it will stick. It will. One of these times, like barely anyone gets sobriety on their first try. So,
did you work a program when you were 19 or did you just go to meetings and just kind of like...
I just went to meetings. I never had a sponsor. Right. I didn't take it very seriously because once again, I really didn't think I had a problem with alcohol.
Isn't it so funny how they tell you in every meeting, they tell you exactly what you need to do to like be successful at this?
Yeah.
And I know for me, I was in the rooms for 10 years before I would go to meetings high all the time because I just loved the fellowship so much. And like I would lie and they would like every single meeting, they say exactly what you need to do. And my brain just like couldn't understand it until it could. All day like, why these meetings don't work? You know, I don't know why I keep coming in every day, picking up a weight chip. You know, like,
sobriety is such a messy process.
Yeah.
You know,
it really is.
It's messy. It's not a straight line. And I feel like, I think there's a lot of parents that watch this podcast.
Yeah.
Because they'll DM us. It's like moms and whatever. And it's like, it's just, I wish I could tell a parent. It's such a hard thing to tell somebody, right? It's like, it's a super messy process.
Yeah.
Like if your kid needs help, right? Like, and I love that we tell these stories, right? Because like your story was not a straight line.
Yeah.
Mine was not a straight line.
No, I don't know many people that do have a straight line.
I don't think a single person we've talked to has come on here and been like, you know what? I got in a bunch of trouble. I was doing a bunch of drugs, was drinking. Yeah. I went to a rehab or I went to a meeting. I got a sponsor. I worked the steps. I found a spiritual solution. I sponsor people, stayed sober. It's been great ever since.
Yeah. Right.
Not once. Right. It's like, went to one rehab, had a huge ego. This is not for me.
Multiple
bounced
times.
after 2 weeks. Went to another rehab, went to this place, went to a county funded place.
Yeah.
Shit got real bad.
Went to prison.
You know what I mean? Like, whatever. And it's like all of these, it's like, I feel like it's like a rubber band that needs to be stretched out. And when we first come in, we're just like this super tight rubber band and you get that first stretching, you know what I mean? And then it gets stretched again. And then everybody's got a different tolerance threshold. And then it finally reaches that place where it just snaps.
Yeah.
And like, we give in.
Yeah.
And then we work the steps and we find a God and we start sponsoring people and life gets good.
Oh yeah. So I just finished my steps. So that was one thing. It took me 5 years and I was my second year I took off, wasn't working a program, but otherwise I was very active, going to meetings, had a sponsor, but it took me 5 years to finish these steps. But when I tell you, I think because I waited that long, like I truly had a spiritual awakening because of this at the end. And so this just happened. I just hit 5 years in February.
Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah. And now I started sponsoring other women and it's just been so amazing. I just needed this for sure. Like I didn't realize how much it would help me being able to help others in that way too. Yeah.
That's great. Super cool.
Yeah.
So walk us through, blowing up on TikTok and kind of becoming
and all that comes
Brittany
with
Jade
it.
And
oh my gosh. That was crazy. I think at that point too, because of how newly sober it was, like I'll admit, it really got to my head. Like I really thought I was the coolest person ever.
I'm famous.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I mean, I would never say that, but that's truly how it felt in the moment. And to be honest, at that time, people were coming up to me all the time. Yeah. Like, I was, but the content is so funny. I watch it back. I'm like, oh wow, I was just doing all the TikTok dances with like telling my story, like the crazy stories, like but yeah, it's amazing. Obviously it's a blessing that happened. I've met now all of my best friends from TikTok. It's changed my life. There's so many different ways that I had no idea, like it could be a career. I also had no idea how many people you could help from there. I just, this morning, one of my friends called me. She's like, hey, I'm with this girl that knows you. She wants to say hi. And just this girl on FaceTime this morning was like, oh my gosh, I'm 1.5 years sober because of you. And like that feeling will never get old, knowing that you are a part of someone's sobriety journey and that you help them. That's been like the most fulfilling thing for me. It just, yeah,
it's rad.
How do you handle all the crazy hate and stuff that you get?
Oh, I mean, that's been...
You've gone through some different ups and downs, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I went through a full cancellation.
Yeah.
What happened?
Asking for help was one of the greatest choices I've made to overcome my addiction.
If you or a loved one that you know is struggling with addiction, don't hesitate. You can reach out to any of us at any time to find help.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
I mean, it was like, what'd you say?
Let's talk about that.
I mean, so it was a prank video where you lie in front of your kids to see if they'll go along with it. And it was to win a cruise. There was never any cruise to win, but it was just like a prank type of deal. It was a trend. A lot of people were doing it. And I even saw people making apology videos because they'd say like, oh, they'd lie and say that my child, he can't walk. But obviously there are children who can't walk. And so they were offending people. Yeah. So I knew, I was like, we thought about it for like a month. We're like, whenever we do this, we need to make sure it's not gonna be offensive. And then we go and literally do the most offensive, what did you
do?
Trigger warning. I'm going to say that too. Trigger warning for anyone who has lost a child. It's still so hard for me because it's such a heavy topic. And me, like had I known, so we told, the lie was that the boys had a triplet brother that died. And obviously I heard a huge community of people who have gone through the greatest struggle ever with losing a child. So actually, I realized it 15 minutes after I posted it, one person commented, I lost my baby at 30 weeks. I don't find this funny. And I was like, oh my gosh, I took down the video 15 minutes after I posted it. I personally messaged that person. But at that point, I had a whole Reddit page with thousands of people watching me. They had posted over there. It got posted on the TikTok gossip page. Then people posted it back on TikTok. And it just started circulating. My management team dropped me. It was bad. We had death threats to our house. Our address got doxxed. Like we had police sitting outside our home during that time. Whoa. It was crazy. But I truly felt so bad too. This wasn't like just like something I was going to brush off. Right. And so I actually worked with a company to raise money for charity. The money went straight to mothers who have lost children. And I really got to educate myself because I have never lost a child. And that I didn't realize how much of a blessing it is that I haven't gone through that. So that was that. And still to this day, it's almost been 3 years since that. People still to this day.
Oh, yeah.
Like, wow.
Yeah. I mean, things spread. If you make one mistake, and here's the thing, is like when you're in the public eye, you can make one mistake without the intention of like you deleted it within a couple minutes, but the damage was already done. And it was already like, it reached everyone else because there's those people that take it and are like, hey, look at this. And people thrive off of that. Not saying what you did was right. Like we know that. Right? But these days it's online. If you have
there's like no room for error.
None at all. Like literally you can be canceled for anything. It's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah. So that was why, I mean, still to this day, it's almost been 3 years. Still to this day, every single day, someone brings it up still in the comment section. Wow. And now today, I've done my healing. I've apologized over and over. Whoever is going to forgive me already did. And whoever's not never will, And so now I'm like, it's been 3 years. Like, let's move on. Like, it's crazy. You're still bringing that up from 3 years ago at this point. Yeah. And thankfully the hate I get today is not as bad as it used to be. You know, I think a lot of it used to do with like my friend group and kind of the people who I hung out with. That's where a lot of the hate came in too. And since I've kind of, because I struggle with meeting friends too. I think I just wanted to fit in and wanted to be liked by anyone and everyone. But it really took me a while to realize maybe these aren't the people for me, because I was the only sober one. And that's a huge thing in my life. Yeah. And so I walked away from all my friendships for like a year just to like focus on myself and learn to be my own friend first. And then lo and behold, like I meet the most best women ever now. And I'm just so grateful because like we got the best sober group ever. Like I don't know what I would do without you girls.
I know, same. It all happened it just happened so perfectly.
Yeah,
you know,
it really did, because we had followed each other for years and years.
And then it just ended up being like a God thing that we all just like, we all knew each other for years. We've been following each other.
That's
and
awesome.
Then I got to meet people through you and now we're all just like one big
And now we
group
talk every day
of sober and healed for the most part women. We still have our little things or whatever, but our group is like, it's really, all of us work programs too. So it's like seeing that in our group compared to especially some other groups of women who may not have a program in their life. It's really a beautiful thing what we have.
It really is. Yeah. And I had the lowest amount of time too. I had the lowest amount of time out of everyone until Gabby.
Oh yeah, Gabby's in our group.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Gabby's still sober.
Shut the fuck
from the time
up,
that,
dude.
from the time that she went to
so
Bonfire.
Sick.
Yes.
Isn't that fucking insane?
Yeah, remember she was like, "Are you guys trying to like?
Yeah, is this an intervention?
She was trying to like incept me."
I was wondering when she came on here because she hadn't fully accepted yet, right?
Right. Well, I also didn't invite her on for like I told her there. I'm like, I don't. We have people that are not in recovery. Like I just know that you have a story and you have this history. Like you were a teen, very basically child mom, let's say that. Sure. And like you have a crazy story and it just ended up being perfect.
She had an experience.
Yeah, she had a whole experience. I'm so proud of her.
God,
but
cool.
Wow, and she's still killing it.
How long has it been? What, she's got like 6 months?
Something like that.
Yeah.
4 months, maybe 4. I don't know. Time is not real to me.
I can't either. Maybe 4 or 5 months sounds about right.
Yeah, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do now?
What do I do now?
Yeah.
Oh, what do I do now? I mean, honestly, because I was supporting our whole family on social media money for like 3 years. My husband was just helping me with all mine. He was doing stay-at-home dad, taking care of the kids. I was hustling on the internet. But that was hard on our marriage. So now we kind of split things more 50-50. I'm more home with the kids now. He's working a full-time job. I'm still doing social media. It's not as like crazy busy as it was, but I think that's good. There needed to be, I was like going way too hard. And that's when all that happened. I started being dumb with what I was posting. It messed up a lot of stuff. And so obviously we moved from California to Florida this last year. It's almost coming up. Actually, a year ago today, I announced that we were moving.
And you're about to move again.
Yeah, but not far, just not like far. A block
in
away.
The neighborhood. Yeah.
Yeah, and we do like it, but this is my first time being back in California since we moved, and I literally landed and started crying because I realized like actually how much I miss it here.
And then she saw the gas prices when we were on.
I was like, oh shit, it's like $2.60 in Florida.
It's a lot easier to live in Florida.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. Obviously sponsoring other women, just working my program myself, just trying to be of service. I just want to be a good person, do good things, and help my kids succeed. Obviously, my daughter's coming up on the age that I started drinking, so that's been a whole nother journey.
How old is she?
She's 12.
12.
And she's a really good kid.
When's her birthday?
February 20th.
Yeah, my daughter's 12.
Okay.
She's September 30th.
Okay.
Oh, so they're close. Yeah.
I meant February 20th, not February 30th if I said that, but.
Yeah.
Okay. February 20th. I don't think there is a February 30th.
No, September 30th is
your daughter's.
Oh,
okay. So is she turning 13 then?
13, yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God. You're about to have a teenage daughter, both of you.
Yes. Yeah. So that's
terrifying.
A whole another journey in itself.
Yeah, I'm going to go see her Saturday. So in a couple days.
Ooh, nice.
Oh, yeah.
Wants to go shopping.
Oh, yeah.
Get her nails done.
Yeah.
That'll be nice.
So does your daughter remember
Yes, she does. So she remembers, actually, we were just talking about an airplane ride here because we took an airplane ride one year and I blacked out. And
on
with her, it was just me and her.
Oh, shit.
It was like right before I got sober, I blacked out. I woke up to the stewardess around us, like waking me up. And like my daughter said I was being really mean. And so I asked her on the way here when we landed, I'm like, oh my gosh, do you remember that? When I like fell asleep, you know? And she's like, yeah, I do. That was so scary. And I'm like, I know, you know, but she's very proud of me. And she, every once in a while though, do you ever think like, oh my gosh, I'm still like fucked up, you know, like, is this real? Am I really that much better than I was before? But my family, my husband, my daughter, my mom, they're always very quick. Brittany, you are a completely different person, even though you still struggle. Like you're,
everybody.
I think that's just part of being human. You know what I mean? And then when you're sober and you take everything away and you still have to deal with like mental health stuff and being a mom and also making money to survive and all of this, the regular life things.
Yes.
It's just normal human response to things sometimes. I don't think there's many people in today's world that are just like perfectly great all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We all have things. And then especially as moms, we also can beat ourselves up. Yeah. We have that mom guilt and like, oh my God, this, and this. And then we're overthinking everything. And so I think you're doing a great job. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. So are you. She's about to become a homeowner.
I am. That's insane.
Yeah, obviously.
That's what I have to do. I actually have to do a wire transfer in the middle of probably right after this, really quick at Chase, but which I don't know how to do. I don't know how to do that.
It's rad though.
Yeah,
it's super cool.
Crazy.
I know.
It's crazy.
I'm so excited for you.
So do you talk with your kids about sobriety and?
Yes. Actually, we talk pretty openly. The best way for me to explain it when I first got sober was as an allergy. I think that's the easiest way. You know, mommy's allergic to alcohol. You know, I had a problem. I couldn't stop once I started. And because of this allergy, it made me sick. And now that they've gotten older, you know, they've almost, I've even found my boys like thinking that like any alcohol is bad. Anyone who drinks is bad. Like someone was like, they were like, oh my gosh, did you see like that person had a beer in their hand? Like that's, and I'm like, yeah, but some people can just have that beer and be fine, you know? And like, you don't know either. Like you really don't, I didn't know. For me, it was when I've heard you say this wasn't really like this for you, but for me, it really was like when I had my first sip, like I just knew, but I know it's not like that for everyone. I try to just, you know, tell my daughter, like if she knows now where it can go and how sick it made me. And I hope that it will help her make better choices when it comes to it. But
and then your husband, he's sober too, right?
Yeah.
What's his name?
It's Wyland, but I call him Wiley. So yeah.
I remember I met him. I think he was with you.
Okay. Did I bring him up one time? I came up a couple times. I brought my friend Alyssa one time. And I did. Because that's when we met like your production crew and stuff. I brought him once. Yeah.
Right. And he's still doing great.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. He doesn't work a program. He doesn't identify as an addict or alcoholic because that's his choice. He hasn't used his drug of choice since we were 19 when we met. And I just let him be. I think people get confused when I talk about that he's not an alcoholic addict. We just took different paths with that. And as long as, you know, he's staying clean with what his, like that's his journey, and I respect that, and he supports me in my journey of everything I need to do. But yeah, he's sober, and he knows he can have a drink, and I've told him, but it would be very hard on our marriage, I think, just because of how alcohol like really was my thing, like the smell, like it would be hard, and he knows that, and he always says it's like a small sacrifice, like really it's not worth it to him. So
that's great.
Well,
cool.
Thanks so much.
Thank you guys so much. I know we've really talked a lot. We talked a lot, but
that's the point. No, this is great.
Okay, good.
I feel like it's like, you know, it's good to get these stories out. You know what I mean?
Yes,
and I think people,
it really is.
You know, a lot of people know you and have seen you from TikTok, and I think there's a certain level of like, you know, we were talking about this on another podcast, like humanity that comes through when somebody gets to really tell their whole story, you know, like where you came from and how you got here. And
yeah, it's amazing. I love what you guys are doing. The guests that you guys have had on too are just people from all over with all different backgrounds.
So blessed.
You just met the coolest people. I love it.
We've heard just the most incredible stories.
We truly have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I know I've listened to quite a bit and try to keep up.
Now we're adding you to the list.
Well, thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Yeah.